Election 2026 heats up in the lieutenant governor's race with Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami throwing his hat into the ring.
He joins us live, taking our questions and yours. Spotlight Now starts now.
You're watching Spotlight Now with Ryan Kalei-Suchi and Yunji Denise on Hawaii News Now. Have questions or comments for our guests? Join the conversation in our Facebook live stream. Spotlight Now, where Hawaii comes to talk.
Well, hello, and thanks for tuning in here to Spotlight Now on Hawaii News Now. We are going to get to Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami in just a few seconds, actually, but we want to always invite all of you who are watching us both on air and online to engage in the conversations. If you have questions for Kauai's mayor, please head over to Facebook. You can enter your comments there, or you can email us here at spotlightnow@hawaiinewsnow.com. We'll be tracking those emails and those comments throughout the show.
And we want to welcome in the mayor now. Welcome, Derek Kawakami. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, folks.
We appreciate you making the trip, and we're going to be speaking to you really in your capacity as a candidate. But before we get to that, we want to start with the latest news out of Kauai, and that, of course, is that helicopter fatality. Can you give us the latest on what's happening there?
So it's still under investigation. Of course, it's the roughest thing to do to be breaking news whenever we have a fatality. You know, early on in my first term as mayor, we had a similar situation. And in this case, of course, there were three deaths, unfortunately, two surviving. I'm not sure if all of the family members have been contacted, but until then, they're not going to be releasing names of that last person. Now, it could be a little bit late to the game because once we did that press conference, there was a slew of other work to do, but I can tell you that Airborne Aviation as a company, some of their pilots fly our very own first responders, our rescue. And so there's a big value of trust that we put in them. And it's just unfortunate when these situations happen.
And what can you just tell us about the location of where this happens? I think we often hear about, unfortunately, about these types of tragedies that happen on Kauai with these helicopter crashes. And a lot of it is due to the proximity and where these crashes are happening. What can you tell us about this location and if that may play a factor in all of this?
Well, Kalalau Beach and that area is some of the most beautiful landscape in the world. And it is remote, and accessibility is very limited. So you're either going in through hiking, through boat, or by air. And I would venture to say that a majority of people that live on Kauai have not seen Kalalau from the air. We recently went, recently as of maybe like 5 years ago, and it is absolutely stunning to see Kauai in general by air, but it's very tricky to do rescue operations. The fact that the Coast Guard, our Ocean Safety, Kauai Fire, Kauai Police, AMR, and just like our whole first responder community from dispatchers on up, we're able to like click up quickly and just like all hands on board to go and rescue people. It is phenomenal. And, you know, for us personally, we had a tragic situation within our family, like right at 2020. Our uncle Bill Inoka, my wife Monica's uncle, he was in a crash off of Dillingham. And so we're sensitive about making sure next of kin is notified, because in that case, in the chaos of everything, something went out where I think the news broke and the immediate family was finding out after the fact. So like now we measure twice, cut once, to make sure that we are handling sensitive information. And, you know, there's like a yearning from the general public, like, hey, why aren't you releasing the names? Why are you guys like not being transparent? It has nothing to do with that, except for the fact that if it was our kid or, you know, a family member, we treat it as such.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. I want to pivot now, not in your role as mayor, but as a candidate. It was not a given that you were going to take on this race. Why did you decide that now was the time for you to run for lieutenant governor?
Well, you know, I'm terming out as mayor. And these last two terms, 7+ years, has gone by in a flash. And honestly, I feel like I've found a fountain of youth in just helping people. I mean, it gives me energy and it does something, and I'm looking at ways to serve and help people. And the way that we we have done things as an administration is to really give people the sense that they have a government that works for you, that I am everybody's mayor, that I'll be a people's mayor and I'll get down and dirty, do the jobs that we expect other people to do, start to rebuild trust between community and government. And right now, I think we need that kind of bridge building and healing more than ever, considering what's happening worldwide and nationally. And we got to protect Hawaii. Like, we have something unique, and that is the aloha spirit, and aloha still matters. And so, for many reasons, but for the simple one, that I love helping people, and I feel like I have so much to offer. And a lot of the things that we did on Kauai, I feel have applicability statewide. If you look at Kauai, it's a microcosm of like the state of Hawaii, and I'm just really excited.
You know, we know that obviously there has been a lot of news about the current Lieutenant Governor, Sylvia Luke, and investigations that are happening with her campaign spending. How much of all of that has been coming out recently in the news and her having to defend all of this played a role in your decision making to seek this office? Did you see there could be a vulnerability here, and how much did that weigh into you making the decision to run?
Well, not a vulnerability, but it created like a sea of uncertainty, right? And because that is exactly where most people are. Most people are wondering like what's next. And whether it played a role or not, in my heart, things happen for a reason. I took that as a sign and I jumped into the race. And I think it's a great thing because it brings like excitement to like democracy. And like if there's anything I want to do is to have people just show up and vote. Like, it is so super easy. And if me jumping into a race is motivation for people to be like activated and showing up, then so be it. But I'm really excited. I got to talk to Sylvia. I told her I always will respect you, and that is unconditional. And whatever which way the race goes, and if I'm lucky enough to win, I will always serve with you, and I'll always be working for you.
For voters who are trying to decide between the two of you, what is the biggest contrast that you see?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, she has a lot of experience in the legislative branch. I think I am well-rounded. I have some experience in the legislative branch, both in the State House of Representatives, on the County Council, but I have 8 years as an executive level type of leader. And we have a lot under our belt as far as navigating through the COVID-19 pandemic, tackling housing issues. I mean, we just sold our first 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, single family home at Limaola for under $500,000. The County of Kauai is now the largest and biggest developer of affordable housing. And I think all of those can apply. And I think there's a clear distinction between both of us, that it should cause some excitement and get people motivated to participate in their democracy.
Hawaii is unique in the sense that when you're looking at this race between lieutenant governor and then the race for governor, the governor ultimately does not decide the lieutenant governor's candidate, and the two are essentially paired together based on what the voters decide. Talk about your relationship with Governor Green, who would be your running mate if you are to win this election against Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke, and the dynamics you think could exist between Governor Green, knowing his leadership style, and the things and elements that you bring to complement the ticket.
Yeah, we get along great. I mean, I think, and a lot of it is born through like adversity. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He was, lieutenant governor. I was mayor when we were going through the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm pretty sure, like most people that I work with, I cause a few of his white hairs that he has. I think he knows, and I know that we have a mutual respect, that like there's a natural, not necessarily conflict, but when there's disagreement, like there's some friction, but we can work through that. And I think that is good sort of undertones for a productive relationship, is not just all agreeing to agree, but there's going to be some natural friction. And I think at the end of the day, that sort of relationship just benefits the people of Hawaii.
Have you spoken to Governor Green about your run?
He's got his own race to run, and so I of course let him know that I'm gonna be jumping into the race. I have spoken to him about if he had any tips or any words of advice since he's been through a statewide race, and he's a smart guy. He is not going to take sides in this race. He has let us both know, well, he's let me know that he has his own race to run and that I got a lot of work to do.
You said that voters will have the opportunity to look at, the experience and see the contrast between you and Lieutenant Governor Luke. What would you point to your time as Kauai Mayor during your 2 terms as your biggest accomplishment overall that you feel that would help to highlight your resume and the things that you are able to bring to a statewide level that you accomplish at the county level?
That is so hard because, being a mayor, you are the closest to the heartbeat of a community. Like, you are like front and center at every single issue. And issues can be as small as fixing a pothole, resurfacing streets and roads. I would say that if I had to think about the biggest accomplishment, which is hard to do, I would say that we were able to tackle our housing issues by sort of redefining the County of Kauai's role in housing. We really said if we want to lower the cost of housing, we have to lower the cost of goods sold. And this goes back to my background working in the grocery industry. I said for years we've heard some of the cost drivers for affordable housing is land, it's infrastructure, both off-site and on-site, and then of course it's going through the process of getting all the entitlements. So we said, okay, we're gonna take a look at underutilized state and county property that nobody really uses, see if there's infrastructure nearby, and start priming up those properties so that we can get these things prepped up. So when we come to the table, we're not just asking developers to please build something where you're potentially going to take a financial loss. It's going to be hard for you guys to get loans. It's a real high risk endeavor. We're coming to the table to say, hey, we want to meet you halfway. We have this parcel of property. It's owned by the County of Kauai, or executive ordered to the County of Kauai. We've taken care of the infrastructure. We've taken care of the entitlements. We have helped lower the cost of goods sold. Can you hit this target market at this target price? And overwhelmingly, the answer has been yes. So I think redefining the way that government does things, I think changing the culture even within our organization by making investments in training and other programs would be what I would say is a huge accomplishment. But I think we redefine what it is to be a mayor. Like, I'm a mayor that does all the jobs. Like, I go out there, I patch potholes. The chief of police that we just, onboarded, Rudy Tai, he was out there telling a story that the first time he met me, I was up in a bucket truck hanging up Christmas lights, and I had a hard hat on, and I came down, and he said, man, that guy's like a people's mayor. I am not a people's mayor. I think I'm just a people person. And I love what I do, and I have so much to offer.
Let's get into a little bit more of your personal background. You did mention working in grocery stores and retail, which is your family background. But for folks who don't know you, Ryan and I have been able to talk to you for a number of years, so I know that you love the ocean and you've been married for a long time. Yeah. You have, your daughter just went to college, so I know a lot of these personal details. But for folks who haven't met you and haven't had that, how would you introduce yourself?
I was just a local brother. You know what I mean? I stay true to my roots. My friends that I'm with are the friends that I've always had. If you were to go ask them, they'd probably tell you I am the same guy today that I was 15, 20, 10 years ago, however long I've been. Because the title, I have not let the title, which all it is, the mayor, is just a title. I haven't let that become my identity. And it's because I think I have a super strong family, a super strong wife that will keep me grounded. And I have a good set of friends that just are there for me come hell or high water. And so I would just say I am somebody from Kauai that loves people, that has worked in many different jobs, from making shave ice to making Subway sandwiches, to bagging groceries, cashiering, and then jumping into the public service realm almost 17 plus years ago. My gosh. I feel young, but when I say it like that, I feel old. But like I said, I think I found like the fountain in youth in just like helping people out, because it gives me more energy, and I feel like I'm a better person than I am today than I was when I started this journey before I became mayor.
Well, this is going to be a somewhat challenging campaign when you look at just one timeline. Your
Yeah.
decision to run now based on when ballots are dropping in a few months this summer, and the people that you need to meet. You are running a statewide campaign that's going to require you to meet people across the islands, as well as raise funds. Do you think that you have enough time and the backing and supporting financially to be able to pull something like this off? And we're not asking you to give us your campaign strategy by any means, but how do you think you would accomplish this in this very shortened window of time to campaign?
You know, I think we did the legwork beforehand, and I will credit my wife and my daughter for thinking about creative ways that we could ease tension and give people hope during the COVID-19 pandemic. And that was the whole Stay Home Kauai, Stay Home Hawaii, where we kind of opened up our home to people across the state, and eventually it kind of like made its way all over the place. Because my wife is a school teacher, and she knew that if this is prolonged, we're going to have to find a way to keep people's spirits up. And so I think we're recognizable. But look, we love the campaign part. We keep it playful and fun, as should be. And I feel like physically and mentally, I haven't hit my prime, so I have the energy to do a sprint, or if it's a marathon, so be it. So we're just going to hit the ground running and talk about our message, bringing positivity, and hopefully we can attract people that believe in our vision.
You know, in looking at all the different county mayors and their strategies, one thing that strikes me about the way you govern is that you're fiercely protective of your community. We saw that in COVID, that, you know, safety was your number one, no matter what. And we see that again in the way you've handled tourism. And that is sort of a different approach than some other counties have taken with reservation systems and limiting where visitors can go and trying to, you know, protect parking for Kama'aina and things like that. Do you think that the state, you know, overall, given how important tourism is as an economic engine for our state, how do you balance those things? And should we see more of that at the state level, more protecting of these places for Hawaii?
Yeah, a lot of those efforts were collective efforts, like Hanalei Initiative and the state of Hawaii and DLNR. They really changed, I guess what the buzzword is destination management for that KA area. And from the county perspective, we're in the process of transferring Haina Beach Park to the state, because we see that there's a nexus and why, you know, compete against each other, and we should be collaborating. But as far as like the visitor industry, we did a tax increase on vacation rentals, and then eventually council also bumped up the hotel rate. But we told them, look, every single penny of this tax increase, every dime is going to go to affordable housing. So we will be your biggest marketing tool, because when people are screaming at you, like, you guys just take and, you know, give back, I can be the one to say that the visitor industry is the largest contributor to affordable housing on the island of Kauai. And that is the God honest truth. We built affordable housing development fund from zero to anywhere between 12 to $20 million. And all of that money is going towards building housing for people that live, work, and play in Hawaii. And many of them work in that industry. And so I do think that there's ways to redistribute the tax burden. Right now, the majority of the tax burden that used to be shouldered on the backs of local people have been redistributed, that non-residents are carrying a bulk of that tax burden. And I will give credit to where credit is due. Our county council took the courageous step to really partner with us in our vision and make these kind of changes that can elicit like just negative reactions from the industry. And we realize how important the visitor industry is, and we're also very protective of our visitor industry, but we told them, hey, you guys got to kokua like a little bit more. And this is the way we're going to do it. And what we found is people are not opposed to tax increases. They just want to know where the money's going, right? Like anywhere else, like you pay an increase in taxes and you don't know where it's going. Of course, you're going to be hesitant. But we told them in this case, hey, this is budget transparency. Every dime of this increase will go towards housing and you will see tangible results. And right now, homes are being completed and being built on Kauai. And that's really exciting to see.
You know, the role of lieutenant governor is somewhat unique as well in that there is no definition of what that role essentially looks like and how it governs. And oftentimes the governor will provide responsibilities or topics or focus items for the lieutenant governor to work on. We're seeing that with Lieutenant Governor Luke and her focus on early education as well as upgrading broadband. What do you think your focus would be? You know, what would you ask Governor Green that, hey, give me a shot at working on this? What do you think those initiatives might be that you feel you can contribute best to?
Sure. And like, I will say this, that Governor Green brings some excitement to my heart about the notion of being able to work with him, just for the fact that as a governor, he gives his lieutenant governors a lot of latitude to pursue what's passionate to him or her, and he supports it by just saying, go get it. For me, I think the first thing is I would have to have a conversation with Governor Green to see like where his priorities are. If he had envisioned where I could be strongest to move our initiatives forward together. If you were to ask me what I'm passionate about, of course, it's the early childhood education, which, you know, Sylvia has done a great job of. Right now, we're building a youth center at the old Big Safe Space at our Civic Center. But I would say that I am unique in the sense that I have all of this time as a mayor of the County of Kauai. I've had time at the State House of Representatives. And so I can identify where there are moments where we should be collaborating and kind of pooling our resources, especially when it comes to cost of living, when it comes to housing, when it comes to homelessness. And sometimes I see a disconnect. Like right now at the County of Kauai, we are unique in the sense that we provide the football fields, the softball fields, and a majority of the playing areas for our high school athletic programs. Whenever there's a rescue, it's usually our county firefighters that are dangling from a rope from a helicopter to rescue people, and oftentimes on state trails. And we don't like keep track and keep score, because this is just what our job is. But I really think that bridging the gap and being that bridge between state and county services so that we can kind of all work collectively instead of silos, the end result will be a better Hawaii and a better way of doing things. And on Kauai, we see these things happening every day. We have dole care officers that collaborate with our police department. Recently, we just had a fire department and ocean safety training with dole care officers on jet ski operation. And so I really think, like when I say Kauai is a microcosm or kind of like a test pilot for what works and doesn't work, there's so many opportunities for us to align to actually get end results. And I think a lot of wasted movement and resources happens just because there's these jurisdictional lines and people are like playing in their own sandbox. It's a big sandbox. We all got to start communicating because it's tough in Hawaii. I mean, the cost of living with everything continues to escalate. So we got to be wiser with how we expend our energy and our resources.
You know, you spoke about how you're the guy who's in the cherry picker with the hard hat or the one on the ground filling the potholes. What influenced your leadership style? Like who taught you that? Where does that come from?
My mom and dad. I mean, and just like people that I've surrounded myself with. You know, my dad, as the president and CEO of Big Save grocery stores and Menehune Food Mart, he always impressed on me that we're not in the grocery business, we're in the people business. And without our people, we have nothing. And he really impressed upon me that, hey, look, when you get to this executive level, your job is to make sure that you are supporting the folks that are actually delivering goods and services to our customers. And it's not like a top-down sort of management, it's a bottom-up. And like, so for me, I saw being mayor, and I'm like real hands-on and physical. It's very therapeutic for me. I found that me working alongside people educates me on the importance of what their work is, the challenges they're dealing with. I think it improves morale because the folks that do this day in and day out see me as a vulnerable person making mistakes and just, kind of like, I don't think I would be retained if that was my real job. But it really gives you a good snapshot of where improvements can be made. And case in point, once I started working at the base yards, we found out that the equipment they were requesting was not necessarily the equipment and tools that they were receiving. So we changed things up where we said, hey, whatever is on their request list, make sure you guys are ordering to that spec because these are the folks using the tools, and that's the way it should be. And like that's where my heart is out there in the middle of the mess, whether it's a disaster or just driving a bus or working behind the counter at the DMV. I just love that feeling that I get when I actually get to help somebody. So if I'm depressed and nothing is happening in the office, sometimes I'll just go down and weed whack a roundabout, just so like I can get like that little taste of that fountain of youth I've been talking about.
Well, we want to get to know you a little bit more before we let you go, and we always like to do this with a few of our elected officials. It's lightning round, lighthearted questions where we're just going to kind of do these rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit. These might be the hardest questions that we've asked you yet. So here we go. We're going to start off with your favorite spot to vacation outside of Kauai. Can't be a spot in Kauai.
Can't be a spot on Kauai. Holy mackerel. Iceland.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Punch the Monkey has his IKEA monkey as his security blanket. What's yours?
I got that ugly jacket that everybody hates. That one that kind of looks like a leopard and makes me look like a teddy bear. That's my favorite thing.
Do you have a secret talent that no one other than your family knows about?
Nobody in my family knows
no one
about
other than your family. So a secret talent that maybe only your family knows you have, but no one else maybe doesn't know.
I can make my knuckles jump like this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
I have no idea how you're doing that.
I mean, this is a lightning round, so I'm pretty sure there's other things, but,
I like that. On average, how long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
super long because I'm a super lagger. Like, literally, I will wake up at 4. And if there's surf, I can be out the door, but like I'll wake up at 4 and then I play with my dog, I drink my coffee, I get distracted, and then before you know it, I'm rushing out the door. I'm like just getting in on time. So it takes me, I would say, like 2 hours.
Okay.
But just because I lag, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just take my time.
I mean, there's a lot of people that can relate to that. If there was a movie to be made about your life, what actor would you want playing the role of you? Favorite actor?
Oh, the guy from The Hangover, what is his name? Dr.
Oh, yeah.
That funny guy.
Ken Jeong or
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good
That,
one.
that's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an unusual choice. I like it. And
Yeah.
what's the last show that you've binge watched?
Oh, I think it was it Welcome to Derry? The one about it, the kind of scary one.
Oh, yeah.
Or what did we just watch? Before COVID, I hardly watched TV, but after COVID, like I watched all the shows. It was Welcome to Derry because we just totally binge watched that. Then I think it was a spin-off of Yellowstone that we binge watched.
One of like the 8 that they have.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor, thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
time to join us. And we know that you have a busy campaign season ahead, but we appreciate your time. And we'll see you in the next few months and weeks ahead.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Chad Blair from Civil Beat is joining us right after this. Stay with us. You're watching Spotlight Now.
How's it on this Tuesday? I have your weather report. I'm Guy Hoggy. Things are looking really nice. No significant weather changes anytime soon. And the nice thing is that with these nice conditions, there's also a cooler air mass out there. So you might need the extra blanket for the next several nights. Now you can see rainfall is sparse, not totally dry. We are seeing a few showers for some windward areas this morning. But remember, the Molokai radar is still out of commission. It's out of service. It's down. It might be repaired in 2 or 3 days. Keep your fingers crossed. So we're not really seeing seeing a true picture of the rainfall for Oahu or for parts of Maui County. But still, even if the rain is coming in, it's very, very sparse. And it's also moving along quickly because we got those very gusty trade winds today. They'll be running 15 to 25. And they are expected to hold firm through Thursday. So at least through Thursday, the weather pattern's not going to change very much. So this is what we'll see today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Now, as far as the surf, it's dropping, but still elevated for north and east shores. High surf advisory has been dropped. But remember, up in the country, you still got some dirty water, still peel out from all the runoff from the floods. So do the eyeball test. If it's dirty, do not go out. You'll regret it. And there's still some maybe belly-high waves in town. So we got a long stretch of really nice weather. It's going to be a little bit breezy today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. And don't forget, tomorrow is a full moon. No fooling. It's full moon on April Fool. And then we're going to have those winds lighten up starting on Friday. And those beautiful conditions will continue through the weekend, although we could see a few more windward and Mauka showers. Make sure you download that Hawaii News Now weather app. Get the latest watches, warnings, and advisories to keep your family safe.
Kitchen Scraps is excited to spotlight
This is Hawaii News Now.
tonight's top story. Who can stay still the longest, Steph?
Bruh, don't even blink.
Watch local news, first alert weather, and documentaries for free on your HNN streaming app.
Get ready, Keohei. They're coming back.
Is an H&N investigation?
Download your HNN streaming app now.
First alert traffic is like always having a helpful passenger right next to you.
There's a crash up ahead in the left lane.
When we see a backup, we'll tell you live on TV.
That doesn't look too good.
And send an alert to your phone.
I'll type, you drive.
First alert traffic on TV, streaming, and on the Hawaii News Now app.
Keeping you and your ohana safe.
Well, welcome back to Spotlight. Now we're focusing today's conversation on the elections coming up in 2026. And of course, we just heard from Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami, who is seeking a run against Sylvia Luke for the lieutenant governor's race.
And we want to welcome in now Chad Blair, who is the politics editor for Honolulu Civil Beat. Chad, you analyze politics. You know this game. What did you think of what the Kauai mayor had to say?
Well, he's got to trademark one local brada because that's a winning campaign. I mean, he's smooth. He was very relaxed. You know, it was going to be kind of a lackluster election year. The governor's race, we're almost likely not to see a serious challenger to Governor Green. Who knows? There's still some time left, but I doubt it. No U.S. Senate races up this year. There's no Honolulu mayor's race. Yes, on the neighbor islands, you've got the mayors of Kauai race, and you got the mayors on Maui as well. But really nothing very marquee. CD1, Congressional District 1 with Ed Case and a few challengers. But suddenly this, I think he's right, it has sort of excited, electrified the election potential. And if it spurs people to turn out and to vote, that's really remarkable. You can clearly see that he's excited about doing it and that he's actually going to have a little fun. As a journalist, as a political analyst, of course, I selfishly welcome that because it makes it a more interesting time because it goes by just like that.
We're going to talk about some of those other races, but let's focus in here on this LG race specifically. And I asked him about the timeline and his decision to make this run kind of late in the campaign season. You know, there isn't a whole lot of time. He's the mayor of Kauai. He has to do the statewide campaign, raise money. Do you think it's possible that he can pull this off in this short amount of time?
It's very challenging, but remember, he already had ambitions. He was planning on running for the state Senate seat until Ron Kochi from Kauai decided, no, he's not going to do that. But he was already gearing up to run for that race and even had a fundraiser for that. It was already known that he was going to be out of office. He clearly likes being in the game. And I think you either got to jump in or it passes you by and somebody else comes along. So I wasn't terribly surprised. We have been hearing for months in the grapevine that it was very likely to happen. And then with every bad headline that came up with Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke, that had to only make it an even more appealing race to jump into.
Given what has happened with her, how vulnerable do you think she is?
Well, there's no question that she's vulnerable. The best thing that could happen to her is the Attorney General or the federal investigation is over just like that, and they name whoever it is, the $35,000 bandit or whatever we want to call this person. Maybe she gets a slap on the wrist from the Campaign Spending Commission, but it's not happening yet. It's almost April, and here we are still talking about Sylvia Luke, and you saw just the photos you were running, the checks, right? The $5,000 here and $5,000 there. It just hangs over her like a dark cloud, and everybody wants to know. It's really unfortunate. If it clears up in the next few weeks, I think that's going to help a lot, but this makes her very vulnerable because the only news about you is bad news.
Well, what do you think is going to be a key element in this race for Lieutenant Governor? Because when you look at Lieutenant Governor Luke and the support that she has, backed by a lot of unions, already has money within her campaign war chest. Do you think those types of elements are going to play a factor in ultimately deciding, who's going to come out victorious at the end?
Yeah, the major unions are backing up behind her, but you can tell a union who to vote for, but that doesn't mean you're actually going to go and vote for that person. You can vote for whoever that you want. And what it comes down to for most people, who do you feel comfortable with? Who do you like? Remember that Derek Kawakami is likely to have his own union support. I'm hearing that a very major union, the Carpenters, will be backing him and maybe even running some TV commercials pretty soon. So clearly he's going to have a very important power player. They have to campaign separately, right? You can't coordinate, but that's a big player. But I think the most interesting thing is he stressed that he had experience at the county level as a county council member, that he had been mayor now for 2 consecutive terms. And we forget, but he did actually serve in the State House of Representatives briefly. Contrast that with Sylvia Luke. It's primarily been in the House, and then if you're LG, not a lot of administrative responsibilities. One other thing that was very interesting, I thought it was really remarkable that he keyed in on early childhood education, because that is really one of the great strengths that Sylvia Luke has, and under her tenure has some things that she can point to and say made things better. He's already saying, well, I'm going to make that one of my issues too. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, also interesting, just, sort of from a politics standpoint, the fact that he has spoken with the governor and he has spoken with the lieutenant governor. Yes. And I thought that was, it all goes back to the Hawaii is one big small town, right? We all have to live with each other after. So what did you make of that?
I thought it was classy. It was also so Kauai. I mean, it's 60,000 people on that island. Everybody pretty much knows everybody, no secrets. And I think that's the way you do things. Can he extend that statewide? Remember, he not only did live on Oahu when he was going to the ledge, he was at Chaminade. He surfed at Sandy's, and then he's also from Hilo, I believe, born and raised. And so he does have roots on 3 of the islands. Very difficult for a neighbor island person to become lieutenant governor or governor. The only one we know of is Linda Lingle, right, in recent memory. But he's got some roots on all those islands, and I think he's going to be playing that up a lot.
How much of a role do you think that the governor will play into this? He's saying that he's not going to come out and support either candidate or endorse anyone. He has publicly been on this show and said he gets along great with the mayor. He would love to work alongside the mayor, and has sort of distanced himself from Sylvia Luke during this time. Canceled a trip to the National Governors Association because he said he needs to be here during the time when all of this was coming out about Lieutenant Governor Luke. How much of a role do you think he has, behind the scenes or not, in influencing people about who maybe his choice is?
It didn't help Sylvia Luke when Governor Green said, I'm not going to go to Washington because I'm concerned about who's going to take my place while I'm away. I mean, let's face it. Josh Green is a political animal. He's very good at it. He understands it very well. I think he has all sorts of conversations off screen about this. This is his livelihood. He also cares a great deal about Hawaii. You notice that Derek Kawakami stopped short of saying what the tips were that he talked to the governor about. I'm going to run statewide. What could you tell me? Well, I would love to have heard that. I think Derek kind of caught himself and said, well, maybe I better not do that. Behind the scenes, I think Josh Green is very much directly involved. And the fact that he spoke so openly on your show about how much that he supports, they have a friendship, really. And also he tied it to COVID. Did you know that? Because Derek Kawakami is remembered in so many ways for his unusual guidance of the county during COVID. And of course, Josh Green really made his career as lieutenant governor under David Ige as a medical doctor.
Yeah, interesting also, this role of lieutenant governor. If you're Sylvia Luke right now, how are you defending your territory?
It's difficult because most people don't know what a lieutenant governor does. And while she has pre-K as one of her areas and also broadband, really the only thing you're responsible for is when the governor's gone, you're filling in. If something should happen to the governor, you become the governor. And then it has to do with processing paperwork. I don't even know what the right word is for it, but it's a very powerless position. And so you don't really have a very pronounced public persona, unlike Governor Green, who's very much out. I mean, everyone knows who he is. He's on national and even international. He met the Pope in Rome. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. So that's a difficult thing to do, to remind people what you've been doing, because hard to carve out your own identity when you have such a strong governor in position.
Let's talk about some of those other races. I want to switch over to the races that we're going to see in the congressional seats, starting off with Ed Case and the challenges that he's having within the Democratic Party. What are your thoughts about that race, with two challengers coming from the State House and the State Senate in Jared Keohokalole as well as Della Al-Biladi? How vulnerable do you think Ed Case is, and where do you ultimately see that race going?
If Jarrett wasn't in the race, or if Dellett wasn't in the race, I think either of them would have a better chance of giving Ed Case a run for his money. But they both come from the legislature right now. Jared Keohokalole has a safe seat, right? He doesn't have to actually step down, whereas Della Al-Biladi does have to step down. She's done with her time in the House. But I think Ed Case, remember, he has served in both positions, both for CD1, Urban Oahu, and CD2, the neighbor islands. That's very unusual. He has not lost a race. He has been challenged before, and it's never really been close. And I think he's probably in a pretty good position to win handily. Having said that, anything can happen, and we're going to have to wait till the ledges pow in early May before the campaign season gets going. I do like the idea, again, from that selfish point of view, having a competitive Congressional District 1 race, and that will be very exciting. That is a service for the voters to be able to hear different ideas. Ed, more moderate, more middle of the road, leaning conservative here and there. Della and Jarrett, more liberal in many ways. So it could be a very exciting race.
Yeah, and those are races, of course, that we'll be voting for in July. But then we go on to the general, and in that case, we do have challengers in CD2 that could be interesting. Senator Brenton Awa, challenging Jill Takuda for her seat. He's very good at making headlines. He's been a broadcaster, so he knows how to make news. And now with everything that's happening in his district, with all this flooding, he's front and center once again.
Yeah, he was during the recovery for Wailua and other parts of the North Shore, helping with generators, helping folks. I mean, he's really got that whole area pretty much from Mokuleia all the way down to Kaneohe, more or less. I mean, that's his area. The thing about Brenton that's so interesting is he doesn't take money, or very much of it. And he was able to win races for the state senate now twice against much more greatly funded competitors. How is that going to work running against Jill Takuda? Because it really is a statewide race. I mean, even though it's not urban Oahu, you still got Windward Oahu. And I think Jill Takuda now has a couple of wins under her belt, and that's going to be tough to take on, because Brenton normally has declined as principal not to take money from special interest. I think that's something to his credit, but you got to be able to pay for TV ads. You got to be able to pay for all that social. You can't just use, your IG account to get the word out, although he's very good at doing that. So that will be a challenge.
How much of a play do you think that in that specific race will be the party lines that are drawn? I mean, we're seeing nationally just where things are moving with Republicans and Democrats. The Democrats looking to gain more seats this time around in some key and purple states. Could Hawaii be one of those states where they see a vulnerability and see an opportunity for Brenton to possibly take this seat? I mean, how do you think that stacks up when we look at their party affiliations?
Jill Takuda wisely is already identifying Brenton Awa, even though the campaign hasn't really started, even though they're not facing each other during the August primary, right? This is not until November. Jill Takuda has already painted Brenton Awa as being part of that, if you will, the Trump, the MAGA group, and clearly trying to identify him with an element that has not played so well in the islands. Yes, Donald Trump has managed to win 35% of the vote. He's done better than pretty much any other Republican candidate. But the animus that's building right now towards will probably be a blue wave come November is going to hurt. I don't think any national Republican is going to look to put money behind Brenton Awa, especially with Jill Takuda very liberal, with the backing of the state party. I don't think it's just not worth their money, really. Having said that, I did see Brenton's sign. If you're driving over the Poly into Kailua, it's very handsome. He's got that gold tie. He is very good at marketing himself, and I'll give him some credit there.
Before we let you go, just want to go back to the lieutenant governor's race. How much of this race really is about 2030? We know that this isn't 2026, but we have Josh Green pretty, as you said, likely without a real challenger for 2026, and then an open seat in 2030 for the governor's office.
Yep, very much. I mean, historically, it's usually been the LG that becomes the gov. That hasn't always happened. Or the LG goes on to Congress, right? Brian Schatz, Mazie Hirono. But it hasn't happened much recently. Think about this. What happens if 2028 comes around and a Democrat wins the presidency, which is very possible, whether it's a Gavin Newsom or Josh Shapiro or whoever the case might be? Could a Josh Green become the Surgeon General or run as a vice president or whatever the case may be? In other words, you'd have an opening even 2 years earlier than 2030. I don't think most voters are thinking about that. I do think the Democratic Party, I think Josh Green and others very much are thinking about that. Who is likely, who is favored to carry on the governor's legacy and maintain that Democratic dominance in the state?
Okay, Chad Blair, always fun to talk with you. Maybe the voters not thinking about that, but I know that we are.
We are.
So.
We love it.
Thank you for being here. We're going to hear about an innovative way that folks are working to help out flood victims. You're watching Spotlight now. Stay with us.
From the moment you wake up.
Hawaii News Now brings you the stories that impact your day.
With more on the breaking news, we go live to Casey Lund.
Ready with the push alert? I'm going live.
We have an update to the breaking news we brought you this morning on Sunrise.
Okay, guys, as soon as this wraps, toss to Mahia.
And we've been covering this story all day.
Now we go live to Mahia for a new development.
Stand by for breaking news. They just captured the suspect.
That's confirmed?
Yes, sources just confirmed it.
The news you need the moment it breaks.
Here on Hawaii News Now.
Kitchen Scraps is excited to spotlight.
This is Hawaii News Now.
Tonight's top story. Who can stay still the longest, Steph?
Bruh, don't even blink.
Watch local news, first alert weather, and documentaries for free on your H&N streaming app.
Get ready, Kale. They're coming back.
Is an H&N investigation.
Download your H&N streaming app now.
Spotlight Now with Yunji Denise and Ryan Kalei Suchi. Connecting you with newsmakers from throughout our islands. Going in depth with Hawaii's leaders. And taking your questions live. Spotlight Now, where Hawaii comes to talk.
Well, we've been focusing our first half of the show on the political races here in 2026, but we're switching gears now to obviously talk about some of the important work that's being done to help those in need in our community after this devastating Konolo storm, and a unique opportunity and a unique website that has really helped to bridge that gap.
Yeah, and joining us now is the founder of that website, and that is Star Dahl Thurston. You may know her as Miss Hawaii 2023, and now you are leading Malama Map. Tell us about how this idea came together.
Yeah, one day I was serving at my church's donation drop-off site, and Instagram is just flooded with donation drop-off places, supply stations, ways that you can give back, and I just thought there must be a way that we can consolidate all of this information and use it as a tool so people can spend less time searching for how to help and where to get help, and spend the time actually doing it.
Yeah, so talk us through what exactly it is and how you're able to bridge that gap between people who are in need and people who want to provide support in whatever ways that they can.
Absolutely. So Malama Map is a website I created in 24 hours from concept to conception, and essentially it's a community resource hub. So if you are a supply station, you're giving out medical aid, hot food, if you have skills, different laborers, you're an electrician, you can create a listing and offer your services essentially, and it will pop up on the map. And if you're somebody in need, you can go there as well and see all of the different listings in real time of what people are offering, what they need to have donated, and essentially creating a bridge between the people who have a heart to serve and the people who need those resources.
Yeah, and this is so important because, like you said, social media is just flooded with folks who are obviously in need, but then we're also being told, don't drive up here if you don't have any business being up here because you're going to get in the way.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the connections you've made and some of the help that you've seen exchange and what that's been like for you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so important now that we are paying attention to how people are mobilizing. So, not just driving up on your own, but friends of mine had traveled up and they came across this gentleman who was alone in his house. His family had moved to the mainland and their bedrooms were exactly how they were as he raised those kids, and he was just devastated, and just the thought of if that was my home and these strangers came up to help me all day, not just physically but emotionally, is just so heartwarming. And that's the heart of Hawaii, because nobody mobilizes like Hawaii. But what can we create to bridge that gap and make more efficient the process in coming to help people who are in need of that resource? And that's what Malama Map really is. And eventually, I'm really excited for the second build, because there's so many different ways to Malama, or to take care of Hawaii, and it's not just in disaster relief, but in forest restoration, ocean conservation, invasive species removal. There are so many organizations that are already doing that work and they need volunteers. So Malama Map is now positioned to be the bridge between the people who have that heart to serve and the organizations who need their help.
Talk about what you have been seeing in some of those success stories, or maybe some of the more sought after services when it comes to we're talking specifically about what we've seen on the North Shore and the communities impacted here in Oahu. What are those types of services people are seeking out? Mm-hmm. What are maybe some of the higher items that people are asking for? And just, because I'm sure that there might be people out there wondering, how can I help? Or there may be people saying, hey, I need this. Well, what are you seeing from that?
Yeah, 100%. We went from immediate needs, food and water, to then cleanup supplies, boots, fans to dry out the floors. And now I'm seeing a lot of electricians, plumbers, a need for new roofers, basically once everything is clean, moving into how to rebuild. Even gardeners or people who are aware of different types of plants and how to save what's still left of the environment around. So that's what I'm seeing a big need for. And if you are one of those people, you can go and put your information up on the site so that people can get in contact with you and use you as a resource.
Are you a tech savvy person? No. I can imagine having this idea and then not knowing how to execute it. So how did you actually get this up and running?
Yeah. I'm not. Software development was not on my bingo card for 2026, okay? I've never done something like this. I actually had downloaded Claude AI, the app that I use to build essentially vibe code this entire website. I downloaded it that day. It was my first time using it. I've never done something like this. And this is just a testament that when there's urgency and when you see a need and a niche that the community needs addressed, there are tools that we can make this happen. So it's really available for anybody, and if I can do it, anybody can do this. So if you have an idea, it's possible to make it come true.
Yeah, maybe talk about that, because of course this is geared more towards the efforts that are happening right now. But as you're describing this, you think about all the other disasters that we have seen, what we saw in Lahaina, and the resources that were going in there during that time, and then they became inundated with too many things. And but I imagine that this could be something long term when you think about the need in our community and when things come up.
Right.
Do you foresee this being something that goes beyond just what we're seeing in this immediacy for this cleanup?
Oh, 100%. So I really think that Malama Map can be positioned to be used not only as a day-to-day community resource for organizations that need volunteers or different types of fundraiser events, but also having an active disaster relief section where people can go and see for different disasters how you can help, because there's still so much need for rebuilding in Lahaina. And this journey out in Wailua on the North Shore, it's going to be a long time that we're going to be rebuilding and trying to support those families. So it's here for the long term, hoping to figure out a way to make that happen. So I have a 9 to 5, so it's just in my lunch break and in the nighttime into the early hours that I'm working on this, and it's just me. I've had help here and there, but really it's just me and my laptop. I need blue light glasses.
How do you see this as different from some of the platforms that are already in existence, something like a GoFundMe, or even just people putting up an ad or not an ad, like a call out on Instagram and saying hey, I need this. Why do you think that this is more efficient and a better tool?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in situations like this, Instagram, when there is outdated information, it just becomes a distraction and noise. And that's not something that's always kept in real time. And then on the back end, people providing the resource, it takes a lot to update the graphic, make a new post, make a video, change the caption, and then push it out and make sure people actually see that. So on Malama Map, you can update your listing, press the share button, it goes right to Instagram, and you can create a video from there. It's just a really easy, efficient way to as a pinpoint, kind of like the linchpin there. And in terms of GoFundMe, that's strictly financial. But then we have amazing other websites, like from the Maui Relief Initiative. They created a website called Storm Kokua, which if you're a family in need, you can put your information in, they verify it, and it populates all of the GoFundMes for individual families from Lahaina, but also now for people in need out in Wailua and on the North Shore. And I've linked them a part of the website as well. So it's really more of a directory to point towards other organizations and other people who are building resources that can help these people.
Yeah, and really a wide variety of support. I mean, I was scrolling through it and just kind of looking through it, and I came across one that had childcare. That somebody was offering childcare and said, hey, if you need me to watch your kids, I'm a babysitter, and if you can go and spend time cleaning up. I mean, there's really something that everyone can offer, and I think that's one of the unique things that this presents people an opportunity to give whatever they can.
Yep, absolutely. And there is even an opportunity for you to submit your Hawaii business license, or if you have a 501c3, you can send in that information, and we can toggle on badges that certify you as a business, certify you as a nonprofit. And I'm working on a badge for the state if they want to put listings up for what state resources are available. That way people can see in real time what is verified and then what is other community members, just so that there's a level of safety and integrity there.
I mean, you did mention that you do have a 9 to 5, you have other work, but what is fueling your passion for this?
Oh man, I mean, it's just a heart to serve people. I'm in town and I work in an office, so I can't be out in Wailua every day helping out, and I thought, what can I do? And I just saw a need, and I thought, let me try to create something that might help, and praise God, it's been a huge resource. So I'm just grateful, and grateful that I've found a way that I can help, and that's really all it is.
All right, again, that website is malamamap.org. Star, thank you so much for taking time to come in here and share, and thank you for your work on this. I'm sure there are many people in the community who are very grateful for the service that you're providing and connecting people who need help. So thank you so much.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more and some final thoughts right after this. Stay with us.
From the moment you wake up.
Hawaii News Now brings you the stories that impact your day.
With more on the breaking news, we go live to Casey Lund.
Ready with the push alert? I'm going live. We have an update to the breaking news we brought you this morning on Sunrise.
Okay, guys, as soon as this wraps, toss to Mahia.
And we've been covering this story all day.
Now we go live to Mahia for a new development.
Stand by for breaking news. They just captured the suspect.
That's confirmed?
Yes, sources just confirmed it.
The news you need the moment it breaks.
Here on Hawaii News Now.
Spotlight Now with Yunji Denise and Ryan Kalei-Suchi. Connecting you with newsmakers from throughout our islands. Going in depth with Hawaii's leaders. And taking your questions live. Spotlight Now, where Hawaii comes to talk.
One other interesting conversation today here on Spotlight Now, beginning our conversation with Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami, who talked about his campaign for lieutenant governor, the reasons why he is seeking higher office after his term ends as Kauai mayor later this year, going after a seat that's currently occupied by incumbent Sylvia Luke, but saying that this is an opportunity for him to advance and continue on in his work in public service.
Yeah, and as we noted with politics editor Chad Blair from Honolulu Civil Beat, it's a short season. Ballots dropping July 21st in the primary race, so he's got a sprint right now, and clearly he's doing that. And it's rare to hear a politician say that the job has made them a better person. He said that he's a better man now than he was when he started running for office some 17 years ago. Interesting to hear him making his case that he's worked at all these different levels, and at his core, he says he's the same guy he was when he was growing up.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race that really adds a whole new dynamic to this election season. So continue to stay with Hawaii News Now as we cover the upcoming races. We also heard, of course, from Star Dahl Thurston and the work that they're doing at Malama Map to help connect people in the community, encourage people, if you have a service or need help, to check out that website during this time. Next week, we're going to be shifting gears to talk about sex trafficking and the issue that it presents here in Hawaii.
Yeah, we'll talk about how the hospitality industry is working to stop those crimes here in the islands. Thanks so much for being here with us. We'll see you right back here on Tuesday for another edition of Spotlight Now.
Aloha.